webinars like this, and being intentional in leading yourself. And in that manner, we are able to lead others as well, and it will also lead cultures that will also bring a positive workplaces. So for this month, we have our webinar series that's putting me in mental health, boosting positive work environment. So for the first webinar, we have our very own Nikki Vergara, and she will be leading the Hawak Kamay practicing and building helping skills. And the second one will be led by Kevin Nera with Hanap Buhay, meaning making to work. And our last webinar, which is on October 27, will be uh, led by our very own also, Gabby Liamson, with Mila Sakit, cultivating self-compassion at work. And also, some reminders lang po for our webinar. So yan, have another device or be ready to go to another link because we will be using Mentimeter later for our uh, webinar today. And of course, prepare paper and pen because we know na maraming learnings ngayon, and for sure maraming learnings na i-share si Nikki sa atin today. And of course, we highly encourage engagement but with the audience, but please be respectful also in the chat. So yeah, para we can utilize it and we can learn from each other then as well. And for the evaluation form, so the evaluation form will be issued at the end of the webinar only, and for those in the Zoom room only. So those who are watching from our live stream from YouTube will not be able to have it. And of course, remember 10 lang po for our evaluation form. So 10 stands for the title. So make sure kung yung title po ngayon ay Hawak Kamay. So yun po sana yung nakikita nyo evaluation form later. And then your email, of course, place in your email para makuha nyo na agad yung mga certificates nyo. And of course, place in your full name para makuha nyo po yung certificates nyo. And of course, we're shifting to online systems, so certificates are automatically generated. Ano man po yung ilagay nyo sa evaluation form, yun po yung lalabas sa certificates nyo. And for the certificate, also, check your inbox or check your spam folder if wala po doon. Kasi sometimes napupunta yung email ng Positive Workplaces sa spam folder. And of course, ayan, for any concerns about evaluations or certificates, you may email us at engage@positiveworkplaces.org. And we will only be entertaining inquiries regarding evaluations and certificates for up to 1 week only after the event. So make sure na mag-follow up na po kayo agad. And ayan na, so to start things off, we are going to start with Hawak Kamay practicing and building helping skills with our very own, of course, our Chief Wellbeing Officer, Nikki Vergara. So, Nikki, take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Joyce. Let me just share my screen. All right, welcome everyone to our session for today. So my name is Nikki. I'm the Chief Wellbeing Officer and the co-founder of Positive Workplaces. And here, a fun fact about me is I just finished my master's in counseling psychology, and then I didn't even graduate. I flew over to Melbourne to study a master of applied positive psychology. So one of the best things that I've learned in my master's of counseling is actually learning how to help others, and that's what our session is going to be all about today. So we're focusing more on how can we be a helping presence to more people. So this is going to be our learning roadmap for today. First, we'll start with why. Why is it important to learn how to help? And next, we'll talk about what? What is the 3-stage model of helping? Sobrang nakatulong talaga sa akin when I learned that helping can come in stages so that I don't miss out on any of those stages. And the last part is how. How can we embed helping skills to create positive work environments? So we'll actually be practicing some of those helping skills. So this is, yes, last October 10 was World Mental Health Day. So we're so glad that we are here celebrating it all with you. So you might be the strength that a colleague is looking for today. If you've received kindness in the past, please make sure to pay that kindness forward. So we have been talking for a long time na well-being or mental health or a complete picture of it is not just about feeling good. So sometimes we feel good, pero we're not functioning members of society or we're not contributing to society. So it's not just about feeling good, it's also about doing well. And just the same, it's not just about doing well because sometimes we accelerate so quickly in our careers, we do so well in our jobs, but we feel so miserable inside. So that is also an incomplete picture of well-being. Well-being requires both that you feel good and do well. That is the complete picture of well-being. So let's try to do like a mental health check. Use an emoji o kaya type in the chat box, anong color ka right now? Would you say green, I'm doing great? Purple, I'm doing pretty good? Blue is, hindi ka masyadong sure, I'm doing okay, I guess. Yellow, I'm starting to struggle. Orange, I'm having a really hard time. And red, I need to reach out for support. What is your status today? So I'm seeing different colored hearts in the chat box. And I just want to say, wherever you are in that range from green to red, know that it's okay. It's okay to be check in with yourself and really be authentic about what you're feeling right now. So for instance, Marielle is feeling a mixture. I think Marielle, I'm feeling the same as you. I just got off from a very intense flu last week. So if you hear me like coughing a little bit or if you see me taking pauses to drink water, it's because I'm still trying to be okay from that flu season. But I have a mix. I'm doing okay naman. I'm recovering. I'm seeing lots of purple hearts, blue hearts, green hearts, a red heart. So okay, so no matter what heart you are checking in with, know that you are loved and not judged. You're accepted for whatever you're feeling right now in this room. So let's get on with the session. Kasi, lalo na yung people who are feeling that they are in the red, it's so nice to have colleagues around you who know how to support and help you. So let's learn about that in today's session. So why is it important to learn how to help? Hindi ba instinctive lang siya? Why am I coming in this talking about this session to all of you today? Shouldn't this be something that's just instinctive? Do we have to bother learning how to help? So humans are hardwired for love and compassion. Because when we help each other, back in the ancient days, that actually helped us to survive. So back then, diba, we had very fierce predators. And those predators, like those tigers, those saber-tooths, they could be bigger than us and stronger than us, but they did not overwhelm us because we actually had the capacity to support each other. And in time, in history, people who have been able to support each other are actually those that are the ones who survived. So helping each other helps us survive. And here are the other benefits of helping. It increases your level of happiness. The kindness that you've given to others also goes back to you. And you're also becoming part of establishing a supportive community. Here are some more benefits. They found that those who help others actually have greater health. It lessens their loneliness, and it also increases their motivation. When you help others, you are able to connect more with them. And when you have those higher quality connections, that also gives you a better well being. So, whether you are the one being helped or you are the one helping others, ang laki talaga ng impact ng helping that can do to both of your well being. But at the same time, I want to acknowledge that there's an art to helping. This is a quote from a monk, Thich Nhat Hanh. He said, "To love without knowing how to love wounds the person we love." So many times we may have good intentions, we may be hoping to be a loving presence or a helping presence to others. But if we don't know how to do that, it can actually wound the people that we are trying to support. And I think this quote is true, not just for loving, but the different acts of loving. Like helping, for instance, helping is one way that we show that we love others. But I really do believe to help without knowing how to help can hurt the person that we want to help. Try to think about an instance where you've been hurt by another person o kaya naman you've been offended by another. Most of the time, people are not going out of their way to offend you. Nobody wants to do that, except the problem is when we don't know how to help others, when we don't know how to support others, we end up coming off in the wrong way. So if you want to help others in a way that is empowering and supportive, we've got to learn how to help. We've got to learn those helping skills. So here's a reminder. I know there is a kind of help na tanging ang mga psychologists, mga psychiatrists lang ang pwedeng magbigay. And of course, they have studied for this over many years, like to be a psychologist, you've got to have at least a master's degree. So parang ang dami mong inaral to be able to have that sophisticated way of helping. But at the same time, I want to acknowledge and echo that their specialty is especially when things are clinical, when there is a diagnosis, when there is a mental health disorder. So there's still so much that others can do to help. So we're not diagnosing, we're not doing assessment reports that only psychologists can do. We're not giving medication that only psychiatrists can give. But even us, regular people, we can still help others. So helping is not only for professionals. There is a specific help that they can give, like professional counseling, giving medication, diagnosing. That's a specific help they can give. But yung just being very human and kind and helpful to each other in other ways, it's something that anyone can do. So let's learn those 3 stages of helping. Para when we help others, it really is going to be empowering and it won't hurt others. So this is the 3-stage model of helping of Clara Hill. There are 3 stages and one stage often gets skipped. So the first stage is exploration. The second is insight. And the third stage is action. So it happens in this order. And it's really important that we don't skip out on the first stage. Naranasan nyo na ba before na you asked, you were not in a good place, you expressed how you were feeling to another person, and then they agad-agad they gave you advice, and the advice parang medyo nakaka-offend or it just did not sit well with you? Have you ever experienced that? That you received advice or a solution from another person and it just put you off? Because I think definitely, so Marielle said yes. I think definitely a lot of people experience that. Yung parang sobrang out of touch naman nitong sinabi ng isang person sa akin. But they don't intend to give the wrong advice, or they don't intend to hurt you. They don't intend to belittle your problem. Pero there is a stage that they skip. So can you guess what stage in helping is often getting skipped? Yeah, so Maria Janelli got that right. It's usually exploration. If people are not taking the time to listen to you, to explore your problem, they'll jump straight into the advice. And oftentimes, the advice is out of touch. So kailangan we learn how to give priority and importance to each of these stages. So, exploration is connecting to the heart of the person that you are speaking with. So, you need to connect and really show them that you are present, that you are attending to their concern. So, in this stage, you listen and you observe. You also try to support it with nonverbal communication. We'll talk more about that later. And the goal of this stage is to really establish that safety and comfort and to get to know the concern of the other person that you want to help. The next stage after that is insight. This is when you make sense of what is in the head or in the mind of the person that you are speaking to. You want to foster awareness and insight. You want to help them achieve a new understanding. And you also want to recognize responsibilities and challenges that they may have. And the third stage is action. So use what you can to guide that person, help them recognize the idea of change, help them implement the action plans that will help improve their lives, whether you are facilitating action or providing resources. So it starts with exploration, where you use your heart to connect and attend and create a environment of safety for this person. The next stage is insight, where you use your head, your mind to really explore new ideas, help that person become more aware of the situation. And the last is action, where you use your hands or you help them plan for change and guide action plans. So those are the three stages that we will be practicing out in this webinar today. So, how can we embed helping skills to create positive work environments? How do we facilitate exploration, insight, and action? So, when it comes to exploration, having these disposition, these three, is actually going to really help you explore. So, before we even talk about what actions can we do to explore, let's talk about what is the disposition that should be there for a person who wants to help. So, it's these three things. It's unconditional positive regard, empathy, and genuineness. And we'll talk about each of those things, starting with unconditional positive regard. What do I mean by that? So it sounds like a very technical term that we picked up from counseling. If you are in the helping profession and you've studied it, you may be very familiar with this. Carl Rogers was the one who said na just to be a person that has these three qualities, even that alone is already healing to other people. So let's start off with unconditional positive regard. So let's make a distinction. Unconditional positive regard or loving someone unconditionally is the opposite of imposing conditions of worth. So they say that when you experience conditions of worth, you have to be this before I love you. You have to be like that before I respect you. Those are conditions of worth, and that gives people a lot of anxiety, and it gives people, parang that feeling of sadness as well when they always have to feel that they have to be something before you can love them. They have to be something. Those are conditions of worth. So can you share with me what are conditions of worth that you have experienced? So Joyce is supporting us behind the scenes, so she's already put the Mentimeter link in the chat box. And you can also scan the QR code on the screen by turning on the camera of your phone and pointing it to the screen. That QR code will then lead you to Mentimeter. What are conditions of worth that you have experienced? I'll give you one. When I was growing up, I wasn't as smart as my classmates or my siblings. So a condition of worth that I've experienced is you have to be smart. Like before people will like you have to be smart. So um, when I was young and I was feeling not bright talaga, I was feeling sad all of the time and really wondering, oh gosh, what can I do to be smart so that people can accept me? So that is a condition of worth that I have experienced. What is it for you? Ayan, so let's flash the results on the screen. The nice thing about Mentimeter is that this is completely anonymous. So one said, I need to be submissive. Like if I'm to be loved by my partner, kailangan oo na lang oo ako sa kung ano mang sinasabi niya. Ayan, actually, yes. So you can you can tell then na parang our parents or our guardians, even without intending to make us anxious or sad, they sometimes impose conditions of worth to us. Like kailangan may Latin honors ka bago ka before you even start thinking of having a relationship. So I know naman they're coming from a good place that they want you to study, they want you to do well in school, and they want you to focus on that. Pero if that imposing na, oh, you have to have Latin honors for you to be worthy, that is something that makes a lot of people anxious. And you wonder why they can forgo sleep, they can forgo eating, they can just keep studying because that motivation of wanting to be a pleasing person to your parents or to your guardians, that's enough to really get you to not eat, not sleep, just so that you can get those Latin honors. Here's one even, yeah, you should have white skin. I know in the Philippines there was a rage of like whitening products that made a lot of Filipinos feel really insecure about like the color of their skin. For you to be beautiful, for me to think highly of you, you have to have white skin. So that's one. You have to be prim and proper and formal. You have to be talented. You have to be active. Um, you have to follow a certain standard. You have to be mature. You have to have a high paying job. So all of these, like you have to be a good speaker. You have to be beautiful. They are all creating conditions of worth for us. You have to have an award in school. So there are moments when okay we don't feel beautiful or we don't have that light skin, we don't do well in school, we get so anxious. Even if it's not gonna kill us, we get so anxious because that's already triggering to us that I will not be worthy of love if I don't have this. And of course everybody wants to be loved. So all of these things, needing to be intelligent, needing to be skinny and be feminine, it's getting people to, starve themselves. You have to be rich. So minsan yung mga tao, kayod talaga ng kayod even if it's already detrimental to their health because they're trying to earn more. They're trying to have multiple streams of income, racket ng racket, because they're trying to be worthy of love to someone there in their lives. So all of this can make us sad, can have us experience anxiety. And the opposite of all of these conditions of worth is to actually have unconditional positive regard for the people in your life. So if you want to help someone, instead of imposing conditions of worth on them, show them that no matter what happens, you'll always be worthy of being loved. So here's another very heavy one, no? One person here said, I have to save the family financially after grad. Kaya, like, it's nice when it comes from a place of generosity. Like, I have this money and I want to share it with my family. I really applaud the breadwinners who really take care of their families. But at the same time, sometimes I know there is anxiety in so many breadwinners na they feel the need to really give everything and not save any for themselves because they feel that, oh, my family might stop loving me if I stop being a breadwinner for my family, to the point that they never become financially free because everything that they have, they couldn't save or invest. They just gave everything. So I know it's such a burden to have so many ex- to have experienced conditions of worth a lot. So ang daming conditions of worth that people here are feeling. So thank you for being vulnerable in sharing all of this with me. So when we experience conditions of worth that can lead us to feel anxious, that can lead us to feel worthless, pag nawala sa atin ito. So the opposite of that is to have that sense of that unconditional positive regard for people. So Carl Rogers said this: we cannot change, we cannot move away from what we are until we thoroughly accept what we are. Then change seems to come about almost unnoticed. Or, in his other words as well, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Sometimes, to get other people to change, we withhold our love, we withhold our respect because we want them to be motivated to change. So what Carl Rogers says is, if you really want people to change, you have to accept them just the paradox is you have to first accept them just as they are. So that is what will then motivate people to become better, or to show that um to improve themselves as people. The first thing you got to do is to actually accept and love people just as they are. What helps me to have unconditional positive regard for people is to know this, that people are actually doing the best that they can. If they could actually do better, then they would have already done better. If they had the time, if they have the strength and the energy and the resources to do better, then they would have done better. But right now, they are at that point. Maybe you would say, oh, this person is being mean, or this person is being toxic, or this person is not a good friend to me. And sometimes we want to withhold our love from people like that. And we want to show them na parang you're not worthy of love because you're a bad person. Something that shakes me out of that mentality and that mindset is really knowing this at my core. People are really already doing the best that they can. If they could do better, they would have already done better. Pero right now, with the resources that they have, ito pa lang yung kaya nila. So they actually need more support rather than me withholding my respect for them. What they actually need from me is more support. So that's what helps me have unconditional positive regard for everyone that I encounter. Um, it's pretty hard to disappoint me because I approach situations with um, a desire to understand another person rather than judge another person. I'm not perfect and I'm still working on this, but this is something that I really try to live by, that understand that people are already doing the very best that they can. So the next stage then, if you have unconditional positive regard, the next stage then is to have empathy for people. So Brene Brown said this: rarely does an empathetic response begin with "at least." So I'll tell you a story about my own moments in my life when I actually said, "Oh, at least naman, like I know this person was suffering," and then I said, "At least." So I'll give you that example because that's actually what creates toxic positivity. So for instance, it was a friend's birthday, and this friend was feeling nervous about turning 1 year older. Kasi parang feeling niya, ang dami pa niyang hindi pa na-accomplish. And then, because I wasn't thinking, I just said, at least you've done a lot of stuff. At least your career is going. At least you are already saving a lot. At least you've got a lot of investments already. Then I just realized that was not the response that this person was hoping for. I think the person expressed na they're not feeling good about their birthday. They're not feeling good about turning a year older because they still have a lot of hopes that they wanted to accomplish, and they don't see that happening yet. And I just realized, I think I downplayed their problems by telling them, oh, focus na lang on what you got. So rarely does an empathetic response begin with at least. Can you share with me what are some at least statements that you've heard, or at least statements that you've said to others? Um, Sometimes our intention here is to have people focus on what is good in their lives. But at the same time, when we do this, nada-downplay natin yung experiences that they have. So I remember yung sa TED Talk ni Brene Brown, you should definitely watch it. It's very inspiring. Yung mga at least statements na binigay yung one person said, I had a miscarriage, and then yung other person said, well, at least you still have that other child. At least you're not infertile, that you could actually give birth, diba? But that is downplaying the grief of losing your child. So what are some at least statements that you've heard or that you said to others? We can actually come clean to this. Yeah, sometimes, diba, if people are suffering, we say, at least buhay ka, at least maganda ka. Or when someone says, I'm having a really hard time with my job, at least you have a job. Or konti na lang yung pera ko, hindi ako sure kung paano ko to pagkakasyahin. At least sweldo na next week. Okay lang yan, 'di ba? Sometimes let's ask ourselves, why do we say yung itong mga at least statements? And I think a lot of the times we jump in with an at least kasi the conversation might be making us uncomfortable, or we feel empathy and pain for that person, and we don't want to feel that pain, so we try to jump straight out of it by saying like at least something. Again, for instance, someone could be saying na parang ano pa bang nakikita ko to, ito sa grades, for instance, yung maybe someone was not happy with their grades, with their performance, and then we're like, at least pasado. But when we do that, we're actually ignoring the opportunity to hear out what is going on in their minds, what are their values. So at least nag-try ka, at least you have a job, at least naka-final interview ka. You didn't get a job, pero at least naman naka-final interview ka. So I'm seeing a lot of that. At least may sahod ka. You're suffering right now, kulang yung income, but at least you have income. For instance, someone could tell us a difficult experience that they're having with their parents, and you can say like, at least may magulang ka pa. So sometimes these at least statements can actually really backfire, kasi when people trust us enough to share something difficult with us, we don't want to invalidate what they're feeling by having them focus on an at least that they have in their lives. Let them come around to gratitude in their own time and in their own space, but let's not try to brush away their experiences by telling them, at least you got this, at least you're healthy. We have a question here in the chat box. So Lou said, is this not looking at the blessings rather than the problem? I am a big advocate of gratitude. Gratitude can really help you overcome a lot of stresses. Gratitude has been shown by research to help boost your well-being. But let's also give the person an opportunity to come around to gratitude on their own time. Kasi when we force them to just focus on the good thing, we ignore their suffering. And when we do that, it becomes, rather than actual pure like positivity, it becomes toxic positivity. When we downplay their suffering and have them focus on a good thing, we lose so much opportunities to hear out what's going on in their lives. We lose an opportunity to listen to what support they need. So there's definitely a space for gratitude. But hopefully, rather than us being the one saying, oh, at least naman, meron ka pang ganito, it would be good na we just let that other person be the ones to express what are the things that they are grateful for, but still give them the space to share with us what are the problems that they are encountering, in what ways are they suffering, in what ways do they need support. Ayan. So, so hopefully, hindi sa atin manggaling yung mga at least. Let people come to their own realizations of gratitude, but let's not undermine the suffering or the help and support that the person is asking for in that moment. And the third quality of uh, a healing presence is actually genuineness. So don't say anything that you don't mean. Be very genuine about the things that you will say to people. So if you don't mean it, I suggest na, just keep it to yourself until it's gonna be a genuine thing that you're going to say already. So if you have these three things, unconditional positive regard, empathy, and genuineness, that helps you create a good atmosphere for exploring what the other person is going through. So let's go to some helping skills now. What nonverbal actions show someone that you are listening? So if you could not speak yet, what are things that could show that you are listening? So for instance, for me, I lean forward. I'm catching myself like leaning forward even in a virtual setup. I realized there was a time, gosh, sobrang sakit ng likod ko. But I still didn't want to use the backrest of my chair. Kasi naman, imagine if I did like my webinars like this. It looks like I feel like I'm not showing interest. So even if there was a time that I didn't, you know, like fix my posture properly and sumasakit na yung likod ko, but I could not bear to like just lean back, because for me, a nonverbal action that shows that I'm listening, that I'm here, is that I lean forward, and I carry that over even into my online meetings. So what nonverbal actions show that you are listening? Yes, wonderful. So you've already, I think you are all natural born good active listeners. So in the chat box, Jenny said, yung nag-eye to eye kayo, yung hindi ka titingin sa, syempre if I do this, you're talking to me and then I go, I'm looking at my phone, then that is actually very detrimental to the active listening that you're trying to create. Yung tumatango ka, you're nodding. Paula said, stop what you're doing and look into this person's eyes. So that really helps. A lot of people said that nodding, smiling, hand gestures as well. If you effectively use your hand gestures to show another person that you are there, that you're listening. If you tell me a sad story, you might catch me like, parang, oh my God, like I have to hold my heart for some reason. And that kind of shows people na parang I'm there with you. I feel what you are feeling. Ito, super simple nito, but like actually taking a moment to remove your earphones and putting it down is actually something that can really show another person that you are listening. What else here? Nodding, eye contact, tumatango, smiling, Pag humihikab, humihikab, is that a sign na parang a person is like tuning out? For some, it could be, yeah, this one too. This one is called a minimal encourager. So, a minimal encourager is saying parang, yeah, you're not actually saying words, but you are saying, making sounds to make minimal encouragers. Not interrupting the person, putting your phone down, facial expressions like smiling. So you've got it all. So you actually, these have all been mentioned. Yung having an appropriate eye contact. Hindi naman yung sobrang titig na parang nakakasakit na sa eyes or parang uncomfortable na if you just really look at a person talaga. No? Yung sakto lang, like saktong eye contact lang. And you can practice that with the mirror as well. Head nods, minimal encouragers, paying attention and not interrupting. So here's a situation. What if your office mate opened up to you saying, ang hirap na ng buhay ngayon. Let's face it, life these days has been really tough, no? Ang tataas ng presyo ng gas, tataas ng presyo ng bilihin, ang mahal na ng bilihin, tapos ang hirap pa mag-commute para pumunta sa trabaho. Nahihirapan na nga akong mag-concentrate sa kailangan kong gawin sa trabaho. What are some questions that you can ask to explore feelings? So what are some questions that you can ask or things that you can say to explore the feelings of this person? Can you share this with us on Mentimeter? What questions can you ask to explore feelings of this person? The person in that situation na nagsabi ang mahal na ng bilihin, nahihirapan akong mag-commute. What are some questions that you can ask to explore their feelings more? How are you? Kamusta ka? Okay ka lang? Anong nangyari? Ito, what made you think of this? So, I love this kind of open-ended question kasi it really shows that you are curious. So, they could then express ano yung mga like mga prices that are giving them a hard time. Is it their rent? Is it food? Is it transportation? So you're just giving them a space to share even more about what they're feeling. You can ask, how was your day for the past few days? Kaya pa ba ng budget? So a question like this can then open up a discussion about budget. Ito, a request of, can you elaborate more of what's inside you? What are you feeling? Okay ka pa ba? Can you share more details? Can you tell me how that feels for you? So this is a good question because then this person can then express like napapagod na ba sila? Are they the breadwinner and napapagod na ba sila? O kaya are they the breadwinner and are they starting to get worried that what they have made or their income, baka hindi na siya nakaka-supplement ng kailangan ng pamilya nila. So questions like this are really good. Can you tell me how that feels for you? Can you tell me more? How have you been feeling? Kamusta? Kaya pa? So these are questions that can really help a person explore their feelings as well. So you can even ask, are you feeling tired? If you sense pa lang sa pagkwento nila na parang may maraming buntong hininga, tapos they're feeling parang mahina na yung boses nila, you can ask them questions like, are you feeling tired? How are you feeling? So these are things that can help them explore how they're feeling about the situation. So you can ask questions about their feelings. You asked earlier, how are you feeling about this? You can also reflect feelings like, did I get it right? It sounds to me that you're feeling tired. So if you have a sense of what that person is feeling, you can also reflect that. But of course, say it in a way na patanong. Don't say you're tired. Let them let them confirm, like check with them and confirm with them. Did I get it right? You're feeling tired. Did I get it right na napapagod ka na? Let them answer that for you. Don't assume that you know how the other person is feeling. If you're getting a sense of how they're feeling, ask them and let them be the ones to confirm it. It also helps to restate key words. I'll give you an example of that. So balikan natin itong sinabi ng office mate mo. Ang hirap na ng buhay ngayon, ang mahal na ng bilihin, tapos ang hirap pa mag-commute para pumunta sa trabaho. Nahihirapan na nga akong mag-concentrate sa kailangan kong gawin sa trabaho. So you can even just pick one keyword and then restate it. That will allow the person to continue speaking. So you could say, nahihirapan ka na. And then from there, they can keep going. Yes, nahihirapan na ako kasi nasa akin yung burden of having to earn for my family. Yes, nahihirapan na ako kasi nauubos na yung savings ko at saka kinakabahan na ako. So the conversation can go on and on and on. Even with you just grabbing key pieces or keywords from what they've said and then just say it again. So a lot of the times what people feel when they're listening or when they're trying to help another person is they don't know what to say anymore. Like for me, that's often what I used to feel na parang shucks, I don't know what to say. And then I focus so much on, oh my gosh, ano kayang sasabihin ko, that I actually stop listening properly to the other person. So we don't want that. Don't focus so much on what you have to say next, what you can respond. Don't think that you always have to say something wise at every moment. You just help another person by even just by listening to them, actively listening, you're already helping another person so much. And one thing that you can do to keep the conversation going is to just grab pieces of what they've said and then say it again. Like you can say, nahirapan ka na, and then they'll go on it, they'll continue speaking. Or you can say, ang hirap na ng buhay, and then they can keep continuing that. So you don't have to have all the wise words. You don't have to have a clearly formulated statement to share back. You can just grab some keywords, say it again, and that will allow the conversation to keep going. So it's easier to examine concerns when another person is actively listening. When people think about issues on their own, they often become blocked by their defenses and anxieties rather than gaining insight and making changes. So sometimes you might think na, hala, I have nothing to offer to this person. Well, kung they're having a hard time with money, I'm also having a hard time with money. They're having a hard time with time management. I also don't have the time to, do a lot of help. But a simple thing, just listening, that can already be a huge help to another person kasi they're able to understand and examine their issues more closely when another person is listening. So here's another situation. Kunwari, your office mate opened up to you and said, yung colleague ko ay credit grabber. He takes credit for all the work that I do. He has gotten promoted and now I report to him. So again, you can ask questions like, how does that make you feel? What happened? Show curiosity. Like you can restate simple words like yung credit grabber, and then they can say, yes, yung report ko na ako yung gumawa. Sabi niya, siya lang yung gumawa. So simple restatements can actually help the person that you're helping really discuss and elaborate more on the situation so that they can also understand it better. The next stage after exploration is insight. In this stage, you help others realize how they actually perpetuate their problems. And you have to do this skillfully because you don't want to do it in a way that puts blame. You want to do it in a way that helps another person recognize ano ba yung mga pwede nilang um makontrol? What are the things that they can take responsibility for? Because sometimes there are things that you do that there are instances when when you perpetuate the problem. So if you break out of that cycle, then that's the first step to resolving the problem. So as someone who is helping, you can help others realize how they actually perpetuate their problems. But do this in a way that doesn't blame. You can also provide feedback about their behavior and what function it serves. So in this example, for instance, my colleague's a credit grabber, lagi na lang siyang nagtitake ng credit sa mga ginagawa ko. Siya nga na-promote tapos ako, hindi pa. Worst of all, ngayon, boss ko na siya. So, what you can actually help the person realize how are they perpetuating their own problem. So, what is something that you can focus on in the issue that they have raised? Maybe possibly, so again, this is just a snippet of a conversation. So it can possibly be, do you allow others to, why do you allow others to take credit for the things that you do? Or why don't you claim credit for the good work that you are doing? Then that helps people really explore and really understand themselves. For instance, sometimes people are shy, and because they're shy, they don't um, they don't take credit for the good things that they are doing. So, pag na-realize nila yung ganon through you helping them, that's already the start na, okay, in the future, what I can do instead is to tell people of the things that I have accomplished so that other people won't be grabbing credit for the work that you do. You yourself take credit for those good things that you do. So help others realize how they are perpetuating their problems. Sometimes, yung ginagawa kasi natin, ifo-focus natin lahat ng anger, lahat ng blame sa colleague, for instance, in this situation, sa colleague na nag-grab ng credit. But we can actually focus the control on the person. What did they do that allowed the colleague to grab the credit? Did they not stand up for themselves? Did they not showcase their contribution? So if they learn those things, and those are things that they can already start changing. And also provide feedback about their behavior and what function it serves. So I really believe na people have good intentions, or for instance, in that situation when the person was not taking credit for the work that they do, what function does that serve kaya? Help them examine that. Maybe it helps them have this image of humility. And why is being humble so important kaya to this person? And they can say, if I'm humble, then I am a good person. And so you can see na them not taking credit was still serving a good function. But if they want to get promoted, if they want to get recognized in the workplace, what are other behaviors that they would then have to do? So try to help people gain insight about the behaviors that they are doing. And the last stage is actually action. So in the action stage, you can help people think of ways what can they do to improve their situation. Or the action can actually be as simple as helping them realize where they are irrational and helping them correct these irrational statements. So here's a specific type of action that I think can be easily done by any helper. and this is called the active disputation of irrational beliefs. So I'll share that with you more. So when you do this, you can check and modify rigid and extreme beliefs. You can then demonstrate how these ideas bring unnecessary disturbances, and then you persuade others to let go of these dysfunctional beliefs. There's a complicated way of doing this, but what I'm showing here to you today is actually the simple ways that we can support others when they do this. So changing a must statement to a want statement is one of the easiest ways that people can let go of that irrational belief. So, for instance, for me, growing up, I was really hard on myself. Like, lalo na when I was in school, lagi ko na lang sinasabi sa sarili ko, I must get an A, I must get an A, I must do this, I must be the best. And honestly, yung mga must statements ko, nakakapagod talaga siya. But a subtle word change from must to want is something that can really help people to feel more liberty, to feel less pressured, less burdened. So here's an example of changing from a must statement to a want statement. So instead of saying, I must get a promotion, just say, I want to get a promotion. So in that way, parang mas magaan yung vibe niya, less burdensome. Can you change this from a must statement to a want statement? And I think, okay, this menti actually is, ayan. Okay, so let me flash that back. So change the statement to a want statement. I must be successful by the time that I'm 30. What can you say? Change this to a want statement. So this is an easy one, and sobrang powerful ng subtle word change. Yes, instead of saying I must, I should, I have to be, just say that you want. Well, hindi ka naman mamamatay if you're not successful by the time that you're 30. It's not the end of the world talaga. But it's a want. So instead of making it a heavy, burdensome must, just change it to a want. I want to be successful when I'm 30, or I want to be successful someday. Or I want a car, but you don't have to have one right at this very moment. Here's another example. From an awfulizing statement, you can change it to a non-awfulizing statement. So awfulizing would be, it would be unbearable if I didn't get a promotion. Non-awfulizing is, I would have wanted to get a promotion, but it would be okay if I didn't. So what are things, how can you change this from an awfulizing to a non-awfulizing? Itong example, it would be the end of the world if my boss gets mad at me. Diba? Sometimes we are overly dramatic in the way that we speak, and I am guilty of this. And the way that I perpetuate this belief, it would be the end of the world, or it's going to be the worst thing if this happens, it really colors my day and it makes everything more heavy. So this is how you can help others to not be so hard on themselves, to not feel so burdened, just by helping them change their irrational beliefs. Because really, it's not the end of the world if your boss gets mad. So what are examples? It would be unbearable if I didn't get a promotion. A non-awfulizing is, I would have wanted a promotion, but it would be okay if I did it. It would be the end of the world if my boss gets mad. How do you change that to non-awfulizing? Yeah, the world will not end even if your boss gets mad. Sometimes we are so anxious about what our boss will say to us or how our boss reacts to us. But in fact, it's not going to be the end of the world. Again, my boss might get angry with me, but it's not the end of the world. I like this too. If my boss gets mad at me, then it will happen. I mean, it's bad enough that your boss gets mad. For you to compound on that stress by saying so many things, this is going to add stress to you. My boss will reprimand me, but I can learn from that to better myself. It's okay if my boss gets mad. I'll do better next time. So, simple, diba? Here's another one. From a self-deprecating statement, you can change it to a self-accepting statement. From, if I do not get a promotion, it means that I am not good enough. Change it to a self-accepting statement like, it's okay if I don't get a promotion. I can try again. Can you also do that? From, I didn't get the job because I suck. Can you change that to a more self-accepting statement? When you say something like, I didn't get a job and I suck, it's like you're speaking that it's going to be a forever state, when in fact, that's not forever. If you improve your interview skills, if you try again, if you get more experience, then later on, you could eventually get the job, right? So let's see what you have to say. There will be a better job for me, I'm sure. Yeah, it's okay. Better luck next time. I didn't get the job. Maybe there's a better path for me. I didn't get the job. Oh, I like this. It is so rational. I didn't get the job because someone was more fit. And at this time, that person is more fit because of their experiences, because of their skill sets, because of their previous training. And know that that is accessible to you as well. Because when you say something like, I suck, it's like you condemn yourself forever. And what will happen if you condemn yourself forever? You won't try anymore. You will not act in ways to improve your skills so that when another job opening comes around, you can try it. If you just condemn yourself by saying I suck, then you're gonna stay in that state. But if you say, oh, because I didn't get the job, someone who's more fit for the position at this moment. But if I get training, if I get more experience, and I eventually could get there. I didn't get the job, but I'll try again. I didn't get the job because something is much better for me out there. There will be more opportunities. Someone else is suited for the position. It's okay that the job is not meant for me. I will find and explore more. So these are much better statements. They are more self-accepting statements rather than self-deprecating statements. And when you help others, kahit na yung helping them dispute lang yung irrational beliefs nila, helping them dispute na I suck, helping them dispute that I should, I must, I have to get this, helping them dispute na, oh, this is unbearable. If you just help them dispute those to more rational beliefs that are self-accepting, non-awfulizing, removing the pressure from a should to a want, that can already really help another person. And of course, it really depends on what the situation is. Pero sometimes, para hindi na din tayo masisi na parang, oh, you gave such bad advice. I did it, and now this is what happens to me, and it's all your fault. Para din as helpers, we are not just, it would be good if we also respect people's autonomy and helping them come up with their own solutions to things. So if they've already shared the situation with us and we've asked them all of the questions, if we've already gained insight and helped them gain insight, when it comes to the action stage, try to also draw it out from them. Ask them what actions they can take to improve their situation. And then ask them, what would their timeline be? Para sa kanila na namang galing yung, do they want to work on it in the next month? Do they want to improve that in the next week? Draw it out from them. And in that way, you get to help them generate their own solutions and hold them accountable to a time period. So those are the stages of helping. So today we talked about why is it important to learn how to help. If you don't know how to help, it can actually hurt the one that you are helping. And if you help others, it improves everyone's well being. We then talked about the three-stage model of helping. It starts with exploration. Don't skip this stage. Just get to know that person, allow them to express, embody a specific way of being, be non-judgmental, have unconditional positive regard, listen, ask questions. That's exploration. Help them gain insights, and lastly, help them come up with actions so that they can improve their situation. And we practiced some of those skills today. So thank you so much for being in this webinar with us. We are now going to go into a Q&A. So maybe at this point, Joyce can also share her screen for the pigeonhole.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Nikki. Sobrang dami naming natutunan for this afternoon. And yeah, we're gonna go to our Q&A na. So if you have any questions in mind na baka hindi pa po kayo makatulog mamayang gabi pag hindi niyo yan nasagot. So just go to our pigeonhole. Ayan, sinend ko po yung link sa chat box. So yeah, I will just go to our pigeonhole. Ayan, you can also scan the QR code na meron po sa screen natin. I hope you can see our screen para you can ask your questions right away kay Nikki. Ayan.
Yeah, and thank you also to the people who are saying their thanks in the chat box. I'm so grateful that you attended this webinar because I know life has been so hard these days and parang shucks, makakatulong pa ba tayo sa ibang mga tao? But you, just by being here, learning those helping skills, I'm sure the people around you will be really helped by it, by you learning these skills. Oh,
Okay,
okay.
we have one question na Nikki. So what if the person you are helping doesn't want your advice?
Yeah, this is a great question. You know, a lot of the times people approach others or seek for support not because they want advice, but they just want to be listened to. They just want to feel validated. So that's okay. If they already approach you and say, you know, I don't want advice, then just be a listening presence to this person. So we talked about earlier about just helping another person explore the situation by talking about it, you being an active listener, sobrang laking tulong na yun sa ibang mga tao. So kahit wala kang advice, nandyan ka lang para makinig, malaking tulong na yun. So it's okay. Help does not always mean you're gonna give advice. Just listening is already a big help. So I hope that answers the question.
I like that so much. And how about this one, Nikki? How do I stop the overwhelming feeling of always wanting to help someone at my own expense?
Oof, I hear you. Joyce and I are also, you know, we love to help people, but of course, pag OA na, or like if you are crossing your own boundaries, then kawawa ka rin naman. So how do you stop the overwhelming feeling of always wanting to help someone at your own expense? What works for me is I set boundaries. So for instance, these days I've got a lot on my plate. I'm still recovering from being sick. So I don't always have a lot of time. So you can actually set boundaries. Like right now, the only help that I can offer is to listen for 30 minutes. Is that okay? Kasi that's still better than nothing. And that's still better than you ghosting them or scene zoning them and not responding by giving the parameters of what you are comfortable helping with at that time. So for instance, ako, it's actually energizing for me to listen. So I can offer that the help that I can offer is to listen for 30 minutes. And if the person wants that, then they can take it. If they need more time, then maybe you can suggest, or if you need to talk more beyond that 30 minutes, would it be okay na you also seek support from more people? So create boundaries, be specific, about the help that you can offer and the time that you have to offer it. So you can still offer a little bit of help without it parang coming at your own expense. Now you won't have enough time for yourself, you won't have enough time for resting, for sleeping. Put boundaries by being very specific about the help and the time. So I hope that helps.
Oh, thank you for that, Nikki. And do you have any questions that you want to answer? Baka you have your preference.
Ooh, okay. So let me take a moment to scan the questions here. Okay, maybe we can answer this first one. Itong how to not be carried away while helping others with their concerns. This sounds to me like this person is very empathic, like me and Joyce, you know. um, this is something a supervisor told me a long time ago. Kasi actually, when I right after college, the first thing that I did, so kwento time, the first thing that I did was to volunteer. So I was assigned to become a volunteer teacher in Bukidnon, where I was volunteering at that time. Tapos sabi nila, okay, maging guidance counselor ka na rin kasi background mo is psychology. And I was like, oh my God, please don't assign me to be a guidance counselor because I am the type of person that gets really carried away when I am listening to others or helping them with their concerns. If they cry, ako din, naiiyak din ako. Kung masakit yung puso nila, sumasakit din yung puso ko. So my supervisor actually at that time told me na, um, at the end of the day, come back to yourself and remind yourself na it's not it's not you. Parang it's not your problem. You're listening to someone's problem, but it's not your problem. And then I was thinking, shucks, isn't that so cold to be not allowing myself to be, feeling the intense feelings. And he said it's okay to feel it when you're speaking to them. But at the end of the day, come back to yourself and help yourself realize, okay, that is not your problem. Because, if you take on the world's problems on your shoulders, if you're very emotional about everything, nakakapagod siya. And this will eventually limit your capacity to help others. But if you remind yourself na, okay, while this person is with me, while I'm listening, I can feel what they're feeling. But at the end of the day, I do tell myself, as I really whisper it to myself, it's not my problem. And I also have to trust that that person will eventually find the resources and the insights to overcome the challenges that they have in their life. Because those problems that they are encountering, when they successfully encounter it and solve it, it's actually what will make them stronger eventually. So you should not take away the burden from others and put it on yourself. Instead, be supportive, help them, listen to them, help them gain insights, help them to generate solutions. But at the end of the day, acknowledge na it's not your problem. You should trust others that they will eventually come around to the solutions to their own problems. And that will allow you to breathe easy at the end of the day. So I hope what my supervisor told me in the past is going to help you as well when you're overwhelmed, when you're helping others with their concerns.
Yeah, thank you for that, Nikki, because sometimes we tend to be like sponges to our friends, to our colleagues, so parang kinukuha na natin yung problema nila. So yeah, maybe we have some time pa for a few questions left. What do you want to answer, Nikki?
Ooh, okay, maybe that one. Yung people call me a robot because I rarely show expressions. What can I do to be more empathetic and show them that I actually care? So maybe I'll share my screen again, Joyce. Balikan ko lang yung slide that I had earlier. So balikan ko yung mga not attending skills that we had earlier. So hang on, let me just flash my screen there. I'm looking for the slide. Ayan. So, if you feel na parang shocks, medyo pusong bato yung approach because sometimes people are just listening but they don't have it in their face that they are listening. So, again, everyone mentioned this earlier. At the basic, have eye contact. Like look at that person. At the Another basic thing is just nod your head. Just by nodding, you're already appearing more empathic towards them. If you can also lean forwards and, ito, imagine that you are on the phone. Itong minimal encouragers, I believe I actually learned this at grade 3 when I was on the phone a lot with my friends, and they would say, Nikki, are you still there? Nikki, kasi wala akong sinasabi. So I realized, just saying like, mm-hmm, that those little things can really show people that you're still present with them. So sobrang helpful niya. You think it's useless kasi parang it's not saying anything. It shows people that you are present and that you are still listening. So those things can actually really help already. And I wanted to give another tip as well. Earlier, kasi medyo digital age na tayo these days. And I realized, lalo na nung pandemic, when I could no longer be with people face to face and chat na lang kaya or phone, parang I think, oh gosh, baka people might feel that I'm no longer listening kasi we're not seeing each other face to face. So I learned from my sister who is Gen Z that there's still ways to show your presence to people. So let me bring out so itong stickers na to, she actually showed me na, Nikki, there are stickers that, will show people that you're present and that you're listening. So she always uses these stickers with me. I'm sure you can find your own emojis and your own stickers that kind of show that you are listening. So this person who said na para kang robot, then take advantage of the digital tools like this dinosaur. My sister doesn't do that in real life. She doesn't go like this to me in real life, but I feel so listened to when I'm talking to her on Telegram kasi ang gaganda ng mga stickers na ginamit niya. So if all else fails, you can resort to those stickers.
Yes, thank you for that, Nikki. And of course, yeah, we can utilize the digital tools really, like having memes or like GIFs and sending them to your friends. So just so they know that you're listening to them, parents. So maybe we can have two more questions.
Yeah. Ayan, so I think what we said earlier also addresses that phone concern. Yung minimal encouragers can really help go a long way. Um, okay, maybe this last one. Listening is a skill, giving advice is another. How do you control the urge to give advice? How do you listen to understand rather than comment or give advice? So your best bet here is to just uh, come in with an attitude of curiosity rather than thinking na, oh, I already have all of the solutions. Most of the times kasi, the advice that we have is based on our experience, what worked for us, but what worked for us is not necessarily what will work for other people. So before we jump in and assume that we already understand what is going on in their lives, show curiosity first. Never assume that you know. So ask questions first. Ask them how they're feeling about them. Ask them about the situation, and allow them later on to come up with their own solutions as well. So you can give advice, but also give people the opportunity to listen to themselves and come up with their own solutions. So in that way, you get to really explore the issue, help them generate solutions before you come in with advice. So yes, I hope that helps.
Yeah. And down to our last question, Vicky, what do you want to answer to conclude this webinar?
Ooh. Can we scroll to the top? Meron pa bang may maraming votes? um, hmm. Okay, maybe this last one. yung on the right, upper right. How do you help yourself? So for some of you, you might, maybe many of you who are attending here, you're very eager to help others, but you may not have a lot of people around you yet who are a good helping presence. Pa-attend nyo sila ng webinar na to, joke lang. But you can also apply these to yourself. For me, having a journal has been such a huge help, lalo na when I'm feeling overwhelmed with the world and when I'm carrying on the emotions that I've empathized with from other people. So I also apply itong exploration, insight, and action for myself. But of course, I don't talk to myself out loud, though nothing wrong with that. Having a journal really helps me. So I even ask myself questions. I put questions that I'm going to answer on that journal. I write down my insights on my journal, and I also hold myself accountable to action steps that I can take there. So in that way, I'm also able to apply exploration, insight, and action for myself just through a more reflective journaling process. If in case I don't know who I can approach to at that specific moment. So I hope that's something that can also prompt you in your journaling and in your reflecting so you can also help yourself.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that, Nikki, and thank you also for your questions. I'm sure that gusto niyo yon marinig kung ano yung sagot ni Nikki for that. But of course, we have to think of the time then kasi it's nearing 4:30. So yeah, that's the first leg of our webinar series for this month. So that's Hawak Kamay, practicing and building helping skills. And I hope that you've learned a lot so much from what Nikki shared.